In Matthew 25, Jesus told a direct parable about the final judgment. In this passage, he described the coming of the Son of Man as a conquering monarch, extending his realm over a rival kingdom, seated on the royal judgment seat. He called the faithful to his right, while the evil remained to his left. Notice the pastoral analogy. He called the people like a shepherd. In the time of Jesus, shepherds didn't use dogs to run behind the flock and to push them in and out of a pen. Instead, the sheep heard the shepherd's distinctive shout, whistle, or yodel and followed him. This call and response indicated a level of trust between the shepherd and the flock. The shepherd cared for each sheep in his care, and the individual animals placed their lives in his hands. The pastoral image also had its roots in Scripture. Psalm 23 and Ezekiel 34 imagine God as a shepherd to his nation. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob had flocks. King David began as a shepherd. With all this imagery, it's no wonder the prophets saw the Messiah as a shepherd figure. Once the Son of Man called the faithful to his side, like a king on a judgment throne, he passed sentence. He invited those on his right to enter the kingdom of his Father. Why? They performed acts of charity and hospitality. They visited the sick and imprisoned. They placed their faith on display with actions that spoke louder than words. Notice two details about the king's declaration. First, he not only acquitted the faithful, he rewarded them for their activity among the least of his brothers. Next, these brothers represented the king. So, who are these least of my brothers? They were fellow Christians, especially missionaries. Compare this passage with Matthew chapter 10. Those who traveled to spread the good news did not carry extra provisions of food and drink. They depended upon the hospitality of others in new areas for lodging. While the passage didn't mention sickness or imprisonment, missionaries did face these threats. Visitors from the community strengthened the spirit of those evangelizers who fell to disease or persecution. Those Christians who helped others, the poor and the widowed, the traveling stranger, especially the missionary, would enter the kingdom. By an extension of logic, those who failed to feed the hungry, give drink to the thirsty, grant hospitality to the stranger, clothe the poor, or to visit the sick and the imprisoned would face damnation, including so-called believers. In the videocast for the 32nd Sunday in Ordinary Time, Cycle A, we discuss Christianity as an apocalyptic faith. Such belief holds the world will end in a dramatic, even violent way. Then God will fully reveal himself to judge the world. Matthew's passage on the final judgment puts that belief in sharp relief. Christ, the Son of Man, will come to judge the living and the dead. His arrival will make God's justice and mercy fully manifest. At that point, we will completely understand God's plan of our salvation. Until Jesus returns, we live in hope. The message of the Last Judgment inspires awe. God will make himself fully present through his Son. We will witness his justice. He will pour out his love and mercy upon us, and we will live in his glory like angels. That hope drives us on in our lifelong conversion, our change away from the self and towards God.